Okay, here I'm going to talk about the example of idea generation for problem solutions. I'm going to talk about the idea generation process for problem solutions here. So far, we have completed the process for redefining your problem. Um, then defined the problem as a combination of known conflicts and unknown conflicts. Then so the template for problem definition after redefining our problem. So if you introduce system, we have got problem as a combination of conflicts. Then methodology which is I'm going to the methodology which I'm going to introduce here is exploitation of 40 inventive principles, which could be mainly applied for known conflicts for solution ideas to generate solution ideas. So these solution ideas, I would like to categorize them into category 2. Then the template for this type of idea could be given by this sentence. If we introduce system, negative state is generated. The negative state can be reduced by introducing solution. So this strategy may also be applied for unknown conflicts, but you could apply only when you are confident. Only when you have confidence with your hypothesis. Then now let me review about the problem definition of the example. So initial definition of the problem was if we introduce residential building, it can shelter person from wind and rain, but it is dangerous when earthquake hits. Then so this problem has been broken down into the combination of smaller conflicts. If we introduce residential building, ground holds base, but ground moves base, base holds floor, but base moves floor, and other smaller conflicts. So you may come up with good solutions against these conflicts by exploiting 40 inventive principles. So of course, you may need to choose which conflicts are significant, which deserve to spend time for idea generation. Then let us focus on this conflict as an example for this time. Yeah, you may perform for the other conflicts as well if you want. Then let me use this illustration to clarify what's going on in the conflict. So ground holds base. This is positive thing. Ground positively holds base, but ground negatively actually it jolts base in case of earthquake. Then for problem solving, to solve this problem, you need to effectively separate and eliminate negative parts. So when you are doing this, how you think about is from these viewpoints. They are separate and eliminate considering space or time and condition at the part and the whole. Um, so as I already have explained, effective 40 inventive principles for each of consideration are identified. Then what you need to do is answering firstly to the following questions where component positively acts on components should happen. Contacting surface, the answer which I came up with about this was contacting surface between ground and base, where component action negatively acts on components should not happen. Think the parts that support residential space. So generating the taking these answers into consideration, we could seeing move on to see 40 inventive principles for separation on the basis of space, so segmentation, taking out, and other inventive principles. Then these are the ideas which I have come up with. By exploiting the principle of segmentation, we may separate the base and the residential space by using flexible material spring. I think this could be recognized as a base isolated structure. Or taking out, we may design the base shape so that it does not transmit the frequency of earthquake to residential space. Another example, with respect to principle number 30, flexible shells and thin films, they live in a tent or set a membrane between base and residence space so that it can absorb the earthquake. Anyway, I would like you to notice that once we define a specific conflict, so it's not that difficult to come up with to generate ideas by exploiting 40 inventive principles. You may generate further ideas by exploiting 40 inventive principles and the other viewpoints such as time, condition, the part, and the whole lower order system, higher order system. Um, so I'm sure that you have noticed that by exploiting, you could earn the number of ideas of solutions for certain conflict, for certain problems. Okay, this is all for this session. Thank you for listening.